What's up, friends? John Bush here, Live Free Now Show, Freedom Cell Network. We are here in downtown Austin at Austin City Hall. Haven't been here for a while. Actually got kicked out of City Hall and banned for a little while, but that got overturned. But we are here as part of Derrick Brozes' activation tour. He is going to be traveling the country, educating people, inspiring people, and encouraging people to get activated. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world with all the COVID tyranny. We are spreading the word about the threats to people's freedom, bodily autonomy when it comes to COVID jab mandates. It's been something people have been talking about for a while. Maybe people thought that it was just some weird thing that couldn't possibly happen, but here in the States, in New York City, they're requiring you got to have a vaccine in order to eat at a restaurant or be in a public space. And I think that's a pretty big deal. I doubt that's going to happen here in Texas or places like Florida, which just underscores why it's so important that we vote with our feet. But we want to come out here today to spread some awareness about the threat of vaccine mandates. We're getting mixed responses. There are people honking, so that's good. But lots of people flicking us off and being a little nasty. And it's less about the COVID vaccine and more about how we shouldn't be mandating vaccines, and people should have the medical freedom to choose if they're going to do a medical procedure like that. And if people do it or not, it shouldn't be anybody's business at the end of the day. But like I said, this is part of Derrick Brozes' activation tour. He's going to be in a bunch of different cities this next month or so. You can find the tour stops at activationtour.org, activationtour.org. If you're in Austin or Central Texas, we invite you to join us at Inspired Minds Art Center, where we'll be doing some talks and some meditations and getting people excited. It's called the Activation Tour, just like the Greater Reset activation, right? The idea is not to worry about the problem, to stress about the problem, to educate people about the problem, although that's all fine and well. But what's more important is to get people activated towards creating a free society, activated towards creating community, activated towards creating resilient economies where people are free to coalesce, network, work together, trade with one another without having to have these medical mandates and all this crazy stuff. So we got to get to building, because the world's becoming increasingly divided, increasingly tyrannical, increasingly technocratic with all this weird surveillance and stuff. And you know, the vaccine passports, really, there's this awesome video by Charles Hoskinson. He is with Cardano and his company, I think it's a company or nonprofit, IOHK. He recently did a video about immunity passports. Cardano is a cryptocurrency, right? And a lot of companies and entities are using blockchain technology to back up these immunity passports. And so he made it very clear that his company won't be participating in these immunity passports. And he pointed out, which is extremely correct, there's this slippery slope where they set up the infrastructure for these immunity passports, and they make it all about COVID-19 in this instance. But then sure enough, sooner or later, they spread to all sorts of other stuff. Maybe they're tied to a social credit score. Who knows? So we got to stop it and reject it and object to it before the whole institutions are in place. But here's old Derrick Bros. At D Bros Live Free right now. How you doing, D?
I'm doing well. What's up, guys?
Yeah.
We're in hot Austin, Texas.
That's like 100 degrees. It's global warming, bro. Tell us about the activation tour.
Yeah, guys. So thanks for tuning in wherever you're at. And if you are anywhere near Central Texas today, please do join us for the activation tour, activationtour.org. Today is the first stop of 28 cities. We're doing 28 cities over the next 2 months, September and October. And if you want to find us, like I said, Activation Tour. Every city, we're going to do some kind of what we're calling a community action day, which is this what you're seeing here. You know, protesting, rallying. There's going to be community gardens. There's going to be beach cleanups. There's going to be foraging. There's going to be all kinds of fun stuff happening all around the country. And then this evening, my partner, the lovely Miriam back there, will be doing a guided meditation. I'll be giving speeches, and then I'll be performing music. And then in certain cities like tonight, people like John and other really awesome activists and speakers are going to be sharing their messages. So I'm excited. This is, we just left home this morning, and I'm going to be gone for 2 months. So wherever you're at, activationtour.org, and hopefully if you're in Austin, we'll see you tonight.
What do you think? So we're educating people, trying to encourage folks to recognize all the censorship going on. I'll walk by all the signs here in a sec, and encouraging people to reject the mandates. But besides this type of activism, which I haven't done in a while, so it's good to get out on the street again, what do you think are some important solutions that people can embark on to help overcome all this technocracy that we're in?
Well, it's cool, it's always positive to see Derrick's support out in the streets, right?
That was one of our people, though.
The media, we planted that guy. The media always wants us to feel alone, but there actually are more of us out there.
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of honks.
As far as solutions with technocracy, I think that the first step, just with any problem, is to become aware of it, right? It's important to recognize that technology that you're using can, and in some cases likely will be used against you, basically. There's people who want to use all the technologies that we love in ways that are not pro-freedom, pro-privacy, any of that. And that's the world we're moving into, where technology is increasingly invasive, but also where the technocrats, the Bill Gates of the world, the Elon Musks and others like that, Jeff Bezos, position themselves as the people who are smart enough, intelligent enough, etc., to be the ones to rule over us. That's what technocracy, ruled by technocrats, ruled by elite, ruled by scientific experts. And it's important to understand what that is first, and then to notice the signs of it around you. So I think one of the biggest things, the simplest things, is to just start to be skeptical of the technology that you're using and the ways that it comes into your life and impacts you. Doesn't mean you have to, totally abandon all technology. Clearly, we're not. But I think it does mean you should be skeptical of what you're bringing into your life. Maybe think about before you put that Ring doorbell camera on, or the Amazon Echo, or the Siri, and all those things. Just have some awareness of what you're doing. So then at least you can be saying, hey, I'm consciously okay with putting this listening device in my house, listening to my kids and my family. Or I'm not okay with this, right? So I think that's one of the big first steps. And that's not, of course, going to solve everything. But if more people did that, then we probably would be in a better position. If people just had the awareness that something like technocracy is going on.
All right. What about the Freedom Cell Network? Tell us about that.
Freedomcells.org. Well, so John started promoting this idea in 2015. I heard it here in Austin in 2015. At that time, you were calling it the Central Texas Mutual Aid Society. And, we've just been promoting the hell out of it for the last 5 years, 6 years.
Now we have over 25,000 people.
25,000 people. What I'm excited about in relation to the tour is some of the people I'm going to be seeing on this tour were people that maybe saw me speak in 2017, 2018, when I was telling them about Freedom Cells, and only people like Lisa and Oklahoma were actually doing it. They were like way ahead of the curve. And other people were like, yeah, that sounds cool. Maybe I'll do that one day. And then all of a sudden COVID hits and everybody wants to be involved in Freedom Cells. And so it's going to be really cool, I feel like, to go back around and like, hey, now we're not just talking about this idea theoretically. Like, I got an email from somebody in Turkey, I think I shared it with you, saying like, thank you guys for Freedom Cells. We met these people, we're building gardens, we're homeschooling. So it's just a network for people to connect and find each other locally. And I just came back from Mexico. The lady we caravaned with said she used Freedom Cells to find someone to stay in Alabama. Nice. She just connected with people in her old hometown in Maryland using Freedom Cells. Like, people are really using it to network, to talk about technology, to go out and do rallies, to grow food together, to think about what do we do if the shit hits the fan, or if the power turns off, or how do we want to raise our kids, all these important questions. It's just about coming together and doing that as a community. And Freedom Cells, and specifically the Freedom Cell Network, the website, sort of offers an opportunity for people to connect and use the website to meet in the real world, like this, face to face, without masks. You can see their faces. This is what it's about. So use the website, use the Telegram channels at freedomcells.org, but then meet in real life. Come outside, sweat, breathe air, feel the sun.
Yeah, we've here in Austin, the Freedom Cell Network is really popping off. We just had a big social event with like 130 people. Grady came together and organized a meat share where we all chipped in to get beef and meat, right? So there's all these problems that people are experiencing: isolation, food shortages, lockdowns, vaccine mandates from employers, right? And so what we're trying to do is bring a bunch of people together so we can all work together and just opt out of that nonsense, and we don't have anybody holding any strings over our head. How are things going down in Mexico? It sounds like there's actually quite a few Freedom Cell groups all spread out all across the country.
Yeah, Freedom Cells have been growing in Mexico. Just like, just like in the U.S. and elsewhere in the world, totally without me having anything to do with it. Just it's not like, for people to really understand, it's not like John and I are going and starting the India Freedom Cell and waiting for somebody to fill it out and take it. Like, these things are just, at this point, it's like, oh, wow, there's ones in Transylvania. I didn't even know that. You know, places we've made everywhere.
Transylvania? I don't think.
But I wouldn't be surprised because I'm finding them everywhere.
I think that's a fictional thing.
Yeah, but the point is, like, we're not kind of like starting these groups. They're just totally organically popping off. And that's what's happening in Mexico is, like, now you've got a mix of expats and Mexicans. We've started to connect now. We found this group recently called Mexicans for Truth. And I think it's the beginning of, like, a potential birth of a big truther movement. They're paying attention to COVID. They're sharing a lot of the same videos. A lot of them know about the Greater Reset. They know about freedom cells. And so we got expats and both native Mexicans in Mexico that are forming freedom cells: Puerto Escondido, Puerto Vallarta, Morelia, Ziwa, San Miguel, like just so many different cities popping up all over the place. And they're having meetings, they're getting organized. And I actually am hoping to do an activation tour in Mexico soon to help kind of facilitate that. But same concept. People in Mexico, even though we're not facing the exact same problems with like as much technocracy as the US at the moment, people are still seeing what's, you know, down the pipeline, and they're trying to be ahead of the game instead of feeling like they're playing catch up. You know, I feel like in a place like Mexico, you have the opportunity to maybe stem the tide and slow it or build that awareness, right? Because right now, technology is so new to a lot of people that they don't know that there's a risk in, you know, scanning your face to get into the store. They don't know that somebody could store that data and then sell it, you know, for whatever, a profit off them, or just have their, you know, their face print forever. So I feel like part of the job right now is, and what I'm trying to help in part with Mexicans, working with other Mexicans, is building that movement up. You know, because we need movements like in all different languages.
Oh, so the Mexicans for Truth are Mexicanos?
Yeah, all Spanish. Like, it's totally Spanish movement. It's pretty cool. I just connected with them recently. But yeah, and just one other thing, I've had more people though coming to Mexico and contacting me about coming to Mexico, whether you think Mexico is the right thing for you or not. I think there's a lot of people that were in Canada, in Australia, in these tyrannical places that are like, I need to get the heck out of here. Like, they've already kind of taken a scope of the situation. They don't feel like there's any hope to stay. Let me go to somewhere that feels like a better horizon. For some of those people, it is Mexico. Just in last week, we met and had lunch with a Canadian woman who left with her 7-year-old daughter because she's like, that's it, we're out of here. She moved to Mexico where her family's from. Met with this Korean American family. It was really awesome. Like 5 members of the Korean family. Shout out to Michael. They took us out for some Korean lunch, like the only Korean restaurant in Morelia, like the one in that part of Mexico. But they were there because they're like, we just came to Mexico.
Awesome.
Yeah, we did. They're like, we're trying to start our life over. You know, so my point is, like, people are really, if you haven't seen it yet, like, whether you want to move or stay where you're at, this is the time to get your S together, right? This is it. I mean, that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, is just, this is what you need to do. I titled my talk for tonight, this is what we're up against, and this is what to do.
Yeah.
Keep it simple, you know?
I think voting with your feet, as in moving, is really an important tool that people ought to utilize, because it's all about relative freedom, because really there's no truly free space on this earth. There's all governments and governance and control and corruption throughout the whole globe, but there's relative degrees. Like, imagine being in New York City compared to being here in Texas. And then I just recently moved from Travis County, which is where we're at now, where Austin is, to Bastrop County, which is more conservative. There's fewer masks. It's more rural, just like some good old boys hanging out, barring your tractor and stuff. We literally have a bar and a tractor right now for someone. But how important do you think it is, and what are some places? So obviously Mexico, right? I agree. Mexico's laid back, chill. The central government isn't really that powerful. And there's kind of like a power dichotomy with the cartels and stuff, which is not good, but it does have its benefits. But what are some other places do you think that are worthwhile for folks that are in Canada or New York or Australia and maybe consider moving to?
Yeah, I will say one more thing about Mexico. For those who follow my work, if not, consciousresistance.com, in the near weeks and months, I'm going to host a free teach-in, webinar, whatever you want to call it, about why I think Mexico is a good place, and it just gives some of these tips. So follow at consciousresistance.com if you want more info. But as far as the U.S., I mean, obviously North America is what I know best. I don't really know what's a safer place in Europe compared to the U.K. or something, but maybe some of you do. But I would say, honestly, I think Texas is still a good place as far as the United States goes, because
Tennessee. Someone's saying Tennessee. Tennessee is actually relatively free.
Ryan Christian of the Last American Vagabonds there, he says Tennessee is pretty chill.
Well, there's a Freedom Cell network in there. It's popping.
And in Texas, like, what I feel like, okay, if Texas really ever did decide to become truly independent, right? Like, who knows if they'll ever secede or if we need another country, whatever, blah, blah. The point is, like, think about Texas. You have West Texas, desert, you know, kind of flatland up there. North up in Amarillo, it snows. You know, it gets colder. In the east towards Louisiana, you got swamps. Down south is basically little Mexico. You got beaches all along the coast. Houston's flatter with beach nearby. Austin's hills and lakes, and you know, there's a lot of diversity in Texas, and it's a big ass state. Like I feel like there definitely is, you know, depending on what you're looking for, big city, small city, different types of weather. Texas, I think, is still a really good place to consider as far as the United States goes. And I hear good things about Idaho, Montana, Iowa as well, places like that.
Yeehaw!
Getting ready for pitching.
I guess we're going to do a group picture. All right, everybody. Some people were asking if there's a Freedom Cell network in their area. You can go to freedomcells.org. There's a map, so you can put an address like the coffee shop down the street or a park, and then you can find people in your area and meet up with them and link up with them. Say hello, everybody. Woo! All right, are we wrapping up?
We are. We're going to do a group picture.
Cool. We should do a group meal. Mercedes. All right, peace and freedom, everybody. We're out. Derrick, Andy, Brozes, free.